Evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So happy to see all our friends here. I'm broadcasting from Germany, so that means that my English is with it a little delayed, yeah? So if suddenly I start to speak German, this is the explanation, okay? So we're going to have today a class which is not a formal class, but rather a class that we are going to share examples and stories about the 10 commandments of conscious parenthood. Yeah, the idea of, I hope everybody read these articles, but if not, you can still be with us today. The idea of this class is that we will breathe life into this knowledge, because every knowledge that we are studying, if we are not experience it in life, and we cannot make this experience something that our spirit is have now, it's nothing. When we leave our physical body, all the knowledge, all the books, all the information is fed up, fed away, and the only thing we can see as something that is really belongs to us is something that we had experienced. So the idea today, as we are in the doorstep of the new world, and we know that after all that suffering that we are going through right now, all the old systems will collapse. All system of control will collapse. First, we must make sure that the controlling system in our own house, in our family, is also collapsed. I will not speak today about controlling between men and women. This is for another lecture. I would like to speak about the controlling system, parents and children today, okay, from stories and examples. So we are starting. God, open my lips and my mouth will declare your praise. Amen. The first commandment. So the first commandment is our children are not ours. So at the moment we understand that our children are not ours, they're not the property of us. They did not come to our life in order to make our little ego happy and to fulfill our own expectations and dreams. Then we can start looking at them and see really who they are. What is their journey? What are their talents? What are their shortcomings? And how can we help them in their own unique way in life? So, by the way, I also think that the new education system that will be built at the same time that the old system is collapsing, and it's good that it's collapsing, it's also be a system that will help to see the uniquenesses of every child. And I'd like to tell you a story. That's long, it's many, many years. It's a story about my oldest son, David. He is now 26 years old, but when he was at elementary school in south of Chile, one day the principal, well, we speak about education, everybody is very serious, but actually we should not be serious, no? It's a topic that we must bring to something that is happy and lively, and not like this principal of Chile phoning to me and his father and calling us and said she want to speak with us about a problem that David has. So we went. I was a young mother, a very innocent, and I asked what is the problem with David, and she said, we believe he has ADHD, and without Ritalin he cannot go on study in our school. So as I said, I was very young and very innocent. So I asked, what does it mean that he had ADHD? And she said, he cannot sit on the chair 8 hours as it's required. Yeah, it's not really normal for a child to sit 8 hours in a chair, but at that moment I was very shocked, and I asked her, so what we should do? And she said, you have to go to a child psychiatrist and to ask him what we should do, what you should do with your son. So on her recommendation, we went to see this psychiatrist, English and Hebrew and Spanish and German, but you understand. Now you understand what I mean. Good. And we entered to the room, and without he even asking one question about our child, and I was nothing. He just gave us the prescription to Ritalin and finish. We were very shocked. We went home. David was sitting on the playroom floor, building with Lego. He could sit hours building with Lego and draw. And even if it was an earthquake, he would not move. So I looked at him and I said, actually, he has no problem of concentration. He can concentrate. He just cannot concentrate on things that are not interesting for him. So I didn't give him any Ritalin. I just gave him a lot of activity outdoor. He's a very energetic child. He was, and he's still. And a lot of art. And actually, this is what he's doing today. He's an artist and also a sport like climbing mountains and all the dangerous things in the world. This is what he likes to do, and this is what he's doing. I'm telling this story in order to open our minds, because I never thought I would have a child that this would be what he most liked to do, because I don't like to do this, but it doesn't matter. If we look at our children as they are, not through our expectations, this is something I did not plan, but yeah, I just fix it. 1 second, give me. This is the informal class. So this is part of the informal class that my earring is falling, and it's informal. Even if I cannot fix it, I will be only with one earring. But let's see if I can do this. Yes, I did it. Okay, great. We can go on. So let's not push and press our children into the fixed square boxes of the matrix, or our own square boxes of our ambitions. You know, sometimes there are parents, they wanted to be a doctor, they did not achieve it. Now they want their child to be the doctor that they could not be. Or a mother, she always wanted to be a dancer. She only danced in the mirror in the house. Now she wants her daughter to be a dancer in Broadway, to fulfill the dreams and the wishes of the parents. And by doing this, having all these expectations on them, we actually put signs on them. And our children carrying these signs on them, because when they are very small, they look at us and, you know, they think we are the supreme authority in the world. We are like God for them. And they start to believe to all these signs that we are putting on them. And they may go in life with very heavy signs, maybe until the rest of their life, thinking that they are worth nothing because they could not fulfill what their parents want, or that they will have to work a lot and go through a lot of suffering in order to liberate themselves from these signs. So just to see what these signs are, we have a very short video that I would like to share with you right now. Okay, it's very, very strong to see this. So, first commandment for conscious parenthood, not to hang signs on our children. Let's go to the second one. The second commandment, we were not born by mistake to our parents. This means that we chose, from spiritual perspective, we chose to come to a specific family in order to learn a lesson or lessons. And generally speaking, without entering to specifics, we chose this family laboratory because our laws and cause and effect, karma, something we have to solve from other lives, or because of the law of attraction of homogeneous species. And the moment we understand this, that there is no a coincidence why we are in this family, it means that we are in this family because of the laws of creation. Modern psychology have a big problem. Anyone here is a psychologist? Raise his hand. No psychologist here? Okay, one. Why modern psychology is in a big problem, and also our ego is in a big problem? Because there is no one to blame, and we must take responsibility. So for the psychologist here, I would like to tell a story that, if you don't know, Alma started in Buenos Aires, and Buenos Aires is a city of 10 million people. Half of the people are psychologists, and the other half go to psychologists, okay, especially psychoanalysis. It's like going every week to analyze yourself. And when you finish analyze yourself, you change, you're not changing yourself, you just change the psychologist. And like this, it goes on until the rest of your life. I remember people, men and women, 70, 80 years old, yes, coming to study in Alma, almost in the one leg in the grave, and still speaking and blaming their mother because she was cold and she did not hug them. And my father was working, they are 80 years old, yes, okay, speaking about their mother and father and blaming them. And because of them, we could not do this and we could not achieve this, and etc., etc. So the new, in the new word, I don't know if we are going to call it psychology or whatever the term will be. And it is going to be based on the laws of creation. And as we know that nothing is a coincidence, the question will not be why this has happened to me, but rather, what should I learn from what happened to me? This is a big shift, is a big change. Not always we can see the threads of other lives. But if we understand the laws of creation, we understand that nothing that happens to us is a coincidence, is arbitrary. So instead of being a victim or choose to be a victim, we will choose not to be a victim, regardless of what the perpetrator is doing. Just think about only this sentence. People go to a psychologist and speak about, I was a victim and my parents did this to me, or whatever. I have a free choice not to be a victim. I can choose not to be a victim and release the perpetrator, that according to the laws of creation, if he did something really bad, he will be punished. But our job is to help people that had severe suffering in their life to release their spirit, because if they are always in the same place of a victim, even if they are right according to their point of view, they cannot advance in their life. So I'm not speaking about the new psychology in the new world. I'm just putting the foundation to this. But I want to go back to our topic today, speaking about children and parents. When we understand with our spirit why we choose these parents, why we chose this laboratory, and we understand the lesson, we can go our own way. It doesn't mean that we have to be in a bad connection with our parents. Just that we are free to go to make our own journey, and also to let our parents go on with their journey. And if we have the same spiritual journey, so we can make it together. Okay? But the important thing is to decipher what is my lesson here. And I want to give you another story concerning this, about my father. Yeah, my father, I'm very similar to him in many, many things. And one of the things, he was a very high temperament man. He's Arabic from Afghanistan, so you can just imagine the temperament. And I remember as a small girl, and also when I was a teenager, my father's emotions was like storm. And this storm come, and you can never know when, because it's in 1 second, his mood could change from very happy, pleasant to very angry. And as a little girl, of course, I was very disturbed by this, because I could not understand why he behaved like this. I thought maybe I did something wrong, but when I grew up, I understood that it's not something that I did. He was just like this. And during many years, it was very disturbing for me. After I got married and I left Israel, I used to come once or twice a year to Israel, go to my parents' house, and always had a conflict with him and being angry about him and leaving my parents' house angry. Until one day, I understood that this character makes me so angry because I have the same character. I'm also like this. So this is the laboratory. I choose this father in order to learn how to stop being a slave to my emotions. And I was very, very, very emotional when I was young. So I did my own spiritual process. And in this spiritual process, I understood and I experienced what does it mean to let my spirit being the one who's leading and not my emotions. Spirit and emotions are totally two different things. We think that they are the same, but they are not the same, and we are going to learn about it. Publicity time and Gym for Life, our first seminar. So this was my personal journey. I understood what is my spirit and stopped being slave to my emotions. And at that moment, my conflict with my father stopped. I could come, I could visit him, I could speak with him. He did not change at all. But it was not annoying to me any longer, because I learned my lesson. And he was not a mirror for me any longer. You understand? You got to just show me with your hands. You got the story? Good. So I tried to speak with him, to tell him about this, how great it is not to be slave to your emotions, but he didn't want to listen until he had a severe cancer. At this moment, I was in Argentina, and I knew he was not going to live. And I decided to leave everything in Argentina and come and be with him. And we spent 2 months together, 24 hours a day. I was like sleeping in the hospital and changing diapers and did everything physically with him. But also we, as many times happened, very deep conversations about life, the meaning of life, and also about emotions. This is like was the closing of the cycle with him. And I am sure, and I know that he left Earth in a much higher level of consciousness than he was before he was sick. But the most important thing is that just check it. Maybe what is the most annoying thing that you have with your parents is in one version or another, something that you also have. Sometimes it's not like one-to-one. Yes, it's not he's emotional and I'm emotional, and this is what is the law of attraction of the Jewish species, but could not be a coincidence. So we must stop blaming our parents and start figuring out why we choose this laboratory. Third commandment. Connection produces change and healing. Okay. So most parents and most people think that love is something pleasant and justice is something unpleasant. And because of this, justice and love cannot live together. Love is smiling, awards, caressing, and justice is anger, sullen face, punishment. Why? Why do we have this mistake? Because most of us think that love is an emotion. The concept of love had been distorted. And this is the reason we have this mistake. Actually, real love emanates from the spirit. This kind of love is clear. It can never, ever turn off or turn to hate. Only love as emotion could turn to be hate. But love from the spirit, you cannot say, I love her, but tomorrow I hate her. Or I love him, and next day I hate him. It is not possible if the love emanates from the spirit. So the love that emanates from the spirit, it is not the emotion, is also not only that is clear, crystal clear, is also stable. And it's also something that we cannot separate from justice. It's not a class about emotions and spirit. This we are going to learn with details in Gym for Life. I just want you to take from this class that we have the spirit. The spirit should be our motivator. And then we have the emotional body, then we have the physical body. Yeah, if we take, for example, relationship between a man and a woman. So first should be a connection, spirit to spirit. Then you can also have beautiful emotions or good days or less good days, and also physical contact. But all the starting points of what is important and has eternal value in our life must start with the spirit and not with the emotion. So love and justice in the spirit goes together. We say that God is love and justice. It's not only love or justice, it's both of them. And this is why that when we really love somebody, we have to give him what benefits his spirit and not what is comfortable for him. So, for example, if our child wants to sit in front of the screens the whole day and eat potato chips, it would not be love to allow him this. Of course, it's mean much more work to prepare healthy food and also to think what activity can I offer him. But this is real love. Real love is to shut off the television, better take the television off from the house. This is my suggestion, but we have free will in Alma. So not all the time. we give our children what is good for them, not what is comfortable for them. And the biggest challenge when we combine love and justice, now comes the example or the exercise, is not to disconnect from our child when we have something severe or some criticism to tell him. By the way, not only with our child. As I say, usually people cannot combine love and justice. Or that they are angry, or that they are doing this. How can we combine love and justice at the same time? So this is the small exercise that I want to suggest you to do with your own children, but you can also do it with any person. Okay, so let's imagine that you have a topic of justice, something that you want to transmit to your child or to your friend or to your partner or to your sister or to your mother. We don't want to create false harmony. We want to speak about what is happening. We want to bring justice. So now when we are preparing ourselves to speak about this topic with our child, what we usually do, if we are not conscious, check me if I'm right, we never look at the eyes of the other person when we have a criticism. Or that we look at him very angry, that he cannot look at us, or that we look at the ceiling or the floor or whatever. It is very hard to find a conversation where we can look at the other person's eyes with warm eyes and still saying our criticism. So try to combine this loving, soft look. If you don't have this eye connection, better not speaking, because there is actually only words. Look at the eyes and say what you have to say. Don't disconnect from the child when he's doing something which is inappropriate. Whether he's young, whether he's not young. This is what we have to achieve. Not disconnecting from our children, because the moment we are disconnecting from them, we are losing them. Yeah, I have 3 boys. They're already big boys. But because I practice this with them, that I never disconnect with them, they can tell me whatever is going on in their life, whether I agree or not agree, I like or not I like, but the channel is always open. So I know what is going on with them. They know that they can speak with me. My eyes will still be in connection. And sometimes I will criticize what they're doing. But I'm not making any manipulation. Sometimes it's unconscious manipulation, transmitting them that if they are not going to do what I think is the right thing, I will disconnect from them. I will punish them. Because if I do this, I'm losing the contact with them. So try this week, this technique. Love and justice together at the same time. With your children or whatever person you meet, and see what miracles can we create in relationship when we are doing it. Okay, so always the connection and then the other things. 4th commandment. Until the age of adolescence, the main role of the parents is to protect the emotional and physical well-being of the child. I already wrote some things about it in the article. What I would like to speak now and to share with you is what we should do with our children at the age of sexual maturity. Okay, because Something that is very missing in our modern culture is the initiation of our children to adult life. We are teaching our children how to survive, how to function, but we are not teaching them the secrets of life, the essence of life. And for the spirit, there are specific moments that they are very important to not only to celebrate, but also to be conscious of what is the meaning of them. Okay, so when the child is coming to this world, we should celebrate that a soul is coming to another journey. And we are going to accompany this soul in this journey. As parents, we are conscious, this child is not ours. He comes to us, he's asking for our protection, our guidance as a gift from the light. We have to be conscious of this. During the childhood, as I said, is the protection. At the time of sexual maturity, it's also the time, and I cannot explain this in this lecture in details, but furthermore in other levels of the school or the start of program, the soul or the spirit of both of them are getting out of the protection, and they are now starting their independent journey. And this is also something we have to celebrate. And it is also a moment when we have to teach the young girl or the young man, what does it mean to be spirit or soul in a journey in the life? We must teach these secrets to our children. Then we have marriage, which is also a very important moment for the spirit. Yes, what we can achieve in true marriage concerning the maturity of the spirit is very high. And finally, of course, we have death, which is not supposed to be something sad or horrible, or it's just another moment in the spirit or the soul journey. And we must also learn how to be in this moment for the person who's departure from this world. Okay, so this will be in the program for youth in the new world. Just want to share with you now a part of a movie that I made for my son, my younger son, Daniel. When he reached the age of 13, he started then his initiation personal program with me as his mother. And I made a film from him, starting from his birth. This I'm not going to show because he does not allow me to do this. And I understand him. Just a part of this movie, when I started to explain him about the laws of creation, this was the first moment we spoke about it in the film. And we're still speaking about it in experiences in his life now. He's 17 years old.
Hasta ahora, tu alma fue protegida como un capullo de mariposa, y nuestro rol como tus padres fue cuidarte en el nido de la infancia. Pero ahora, en la edad de la madurez sexual, tu alma sale del nido y comienza su camino independiente. Por lo tanto, mi rol como tu mamá también está cambiando. Hoy estás en el umbral de una etapa nueva. Yo quiero enseñarte las leyes de la naturaleza, que son las leyes de la creación. Son las leyes de Dios desde siempre hasta la eternidad para cualquier ser humano. La primera es la ley de acción recíproca, la ley de karma. Esta ley enseña que todo lo que sembramos vuelve. La segunda es la ley de atracción de especies homogéneas. En la vida atraemos todo lo que es similar a nosotros y nos fortalecemos mutuamente. Si somos generosos, atraemos gente generosa. Si odiamos, atraemos odio. La tercera ley es la ley de la gravedad. De la misma manera que lo que es más pesado se hunde, así también es el espíritu o nuestra alma. Si pensamos, hacemos o creemos cosas buenas que nos elevan y elevan nuestro entorno, nos vamos a sentir livianos y felices. En cambio, si hacemos al contrario, vamos a sentirnos pesados y deprimidos. El símbolo antiguo de esas tres leyes es la cruz equidistante dentro de un círculo. La línea vertical representa la ley de gravedad que actúa de arriba hacia abajo. La línea horizontal representa la ley de atracción entre especies homogéneas que unen uno con otros a aquellos que están en el mismo nivel. Y al final, la ley de acción recíproca, que une el principio y el final, que es representante por el círculo. Hijo, te bendigo que recuerdes siempre cuidar esas leyes en tus pensamientos, palabras y acciones. Y así siempre vas a estar feliz y protegido de cualquier mal.
We can continue to the fifth command. Okay, the fifth command is teaching us that just as we want to see our children happy, so do our children want to see us happy. As the same way, we don't have to teach our children a language. They just listen and they learn the language. This is how I'm learning German right now. Yeah, listening and understanding. One day I will also speak. They are also watching us, observing us, and learning from how do we live? What is the correct way to live? So we can tell our children, for example, you should live your dreams, you should fulfill your dreams. But if our children see that we are actually living in a survival way and not fulfilling anything and only complaining, what we are saying worth nothing, because they are learning from how do we live, the same as the language. So I just want to give an example that I see at the time I was giving like private consult meetings, which I'm not giving right now. I saw many people that had very unhappy marriages, and they thought that, well, we should stay together only for the kids and for the family. And actually, and they thought that divorce is a trauma for the children. I'm not speaking about people that has a connection, spirit connection, and they have to work on some things. I'm speaking about marriages that have no spiritual connection, which actually are not marriages. Fighting, disharmony all the time, but they stay together until the death will separate them. Somebody has to die in order to be free. And I said to these people, that these couples, that actually they are giving their children a very bad example about what marriage is. And it is most probably that if their children will not do a very deep working on themselves and become conscious of this language that they saw at home, they will repeat the same pattern in their life, because this is what they learn. They learn that marriage is this. So I think that divorce is a crisis, absolutely, but that children can overcome this crisis, and this crisis should not transform a trauma if the parents know how to make this divorce. Divorce does not make people traumatic. How people choose to divorce and what they make out of it, and the war that they make out of it many times, this is what is traumatic for children. The children prefer to see their parents happy. It's exactly what they want from us. And if they see that we are not happy, it's very difficult for them. If we are not happy, just leaving one moment the topic of divorce. By the way, it is shown that if even one of the parents that after having been divorced could find new life, married or not married, and be happy. This example for the child will help him to create for himself a beautiful marriage. What we live and how we live in all aspects of life is what we leave for our children. Could be debts, could be an heritage. So if you think, what can I do in order to my child to be happy? Be happy yourself. But be happy is much more difficult than being depressed. You know, being depressed, you don't have to do anything. You just sit and you go down. And to be truly happy, it's something that requires, you know, the power of the spirit, and see every aspect of life and make our life a celebration of life. That our children can look and says, wow, my mother, she's happy with her body, she's happy with her life, she's happy in her marriage, she's smiling. You know, some mothers are not smiling. And for the child, it's very difficult to see. Well, everything is clean in the house, but if the mother is not smiling, the world is not smiling for a little child. So if we are happy, if we are fulfilling the highest potential of our spirit in life, we give our children, for my opinion, the best gift that we can give. Not sacrificing life. You know, what is the difference between Italian mother and a Jewish mother? Somebody here is Italian? We have somebody from Italy, maybe? Okay, so the Jewish mother, as a prototype, is a mother that likes to create in her child the sense that she is a victim. She sacrificed everything for him. So now he must be a doctor so she can tell all her neighbors that she has a son, that she's a doctor. Okay, so when a child or a young man not doing what his Jewish mother wants, she tells him, I will kill myself. This is the manipulation system. I will kill myself if you're not going to be a doctor. Yeah. But the Italian mother, if her child is not doing what she wants, she said, I will kill you. Yes. All these jokes actually shows the manipulation system. I sacrifice my life, so now you have to pay. And maybe the bill is very, very high. And what if just we are saying, I'm happy, you don't have to do anything for me, you don't have to fulfill anything. And the child sees this, it's a beautiful example, free of manipulation, free of giving bills, I did this, so now you have to do this. Okay, we are only touching upon topics. It's not we can develop each commandment here to a class, but we're not going to do it. Just give some tips and examples and stories that can open us to experience the knowledge that we had read in the article. 6 commandments. Okay, this is new. I think for most people this is new. Unconsciously, our children take upon themselves difficulties to awaken us to the need to rely on. Okay, so if you read the article, we spoke about a covenant that we have with our children. And we spoke, and I wrote that in a covenant, we are not leaving the other partner when he has difficult time, or when he is not in the right place. We are staying in order to correct him. Now, our children, small children especially, when they see that we, mother, father, or together as partner, we are not good. we're not okay. We are not in the place we're supposed to be. They, instead of concentrating in their life, whether it's in kindergarten or at school, they take all their energy and start focusing this energy in us in order to help us. And how they do it? They start to behave in a way that it's a mirror to our state. Of course, if we don't understand this mechanism, we can be very angry. Why are you not studying at school? Why are you always fighting with your brother? And he is fighting with his brother in order to be a mirror and to show us, his parents, that we are fighting the whole time. Yeah, it's funny that parents that are fighting the whole day, shouting at their children and tell them, stop fighting. Yes? This is like a simple mirror. I will get now to stories that are more complicated, but very inspiring. Just that you understand how much our children are willing to sacrifice for us. So we understand what we have to correct. This means that we start to see all the problems of our children from another point of view. It means that we cannot, at least as long as the children are small, we cannot look at any problem that our child have, whether it's school or health problem or social problem, separated from what is happening to us. Sometimes it's absolutely 100% a mirror. Sometimes it's also something personal, but we cannot take a small child to a psychologist and take care of him. He has a problem at school. It always, if he's a good psychologist, he will know that he cannot separate the child's problem from what is going on at the home. Okay? So this is very important to understand. The thing is that this mirror that our children are putting in front of us sometimes could be very difficult to decipher. And we are going to deal with this specifically in propaganda time, Gym for Life, exercise number 10. Now, how to decipher what is going on with our own child, what is the mirror that our child is showing to us. It is fascinating, it is overwhelming. I just want to share with you two stories, real stories, from the time that I was giving private meetings. So it was in Argentina, and one day comes a young woman to see me. She was shaking, she was crying. She said she went to see many, many people, and she heard about me from someone, and maybe I can help her. So she started telling me her story, and the story that she had a baby, a 2-year-old baby, healthy, everything was okay with him. And out of a sudden, one day, one leg started to be paralyzed, and afterwards, the other leg, the hands. And after 2 weeks, this baby was ended in the hospital, anesthetized and ventilated, and the doctors could not give any explanation. Why did it happen? What is the problem? And what will be the future? So she was telling me this story and asked me if I could help her. And of course, in these kinds of stories, the only one who could help me to help her is God, because I never had such a story. I didn't have any experience. And as she was speaking, I was praying with myself without a voice, a prayer that I'm using when I'm confronting this kind of a situation. I just pray, God, use me. It is like Francis of Assisi, I don't know if you know him, he had a beautiful prayer. He said, Lord, make me an instrument for you, for thy peace. So I was just praying to transform or to become an instrument so that the help would come through me, because I didn't know what to tell her. And I know she came, every person that come ask for help, it is not a coincidence. So I was putting myself in a state that I don't know anything. I'm just listening to the guidance that comes from above. And the guidance were like a series of questions that I started to ask her. And I also told her, please tell me the truth. Not because you're lying, just because when we are telling our life story, most of the time we are changing it a little bit, because sometimes it's very hard for us to confront our life story. So I just told her, please help me to help you, and tell me and answer my questions really in the most open and without masks. So I start with the questions. I see she was very connected and collaborating with me. The session was with closed eyes. Her eyes was closed and my eyes was closed. And she started to speak, and she told me that she is a Christian, her husband is Jewish, and both family did not accept this marriage and also did not accept this child, this grandchild, yes. And then I go on asking, because the guidance told me that there's like more information. I ask her, what is the relationship between her and her husband? What is the current situation? She was a therapist. Her husband was a famous consulting, both like spiritual people. And she was breathing and said, we have a very conflictive life. And 2 weeks before the disease of our son, it also came that we started to hit each other. So she told me this, but the families, they did not accept them and did not accept the child, and also the situation between them. And then I could hear the mirror, yeah? The soul of the child, this little child, of course, is unconscious of all this. He took upon himself this suffering in order for this family to awake for what is really important in life, true love and peace. So this was the message that came through me. I told her that she should gather all the family, her parents, the parents of her husband, in the hospital together with her husband. The 6 of them should be there, and they should promise, although he was unconscious, but doesn't matter. His soul could hear this promise. The promise of understanding what is important in life. And the guidance was that if these families are going to do this, the child is going to be healed just as quickly that he became sick. And I also heard the warning that if these families are going to stick to their ideas and stubbornness and hate and conflict, the child will die. So she looked at me. I think in another situation, the intellect cannot really understand this logic. What is this? But because the situation was very severe and there was no intellect that could explain, she told me that she will do it. And she would call me to tell me whether it works or not. I knew it would work, but for her, at this moment was an idea. And she went, and she did it. They did it. And the child was healed after 4 days. After 4 days, he stood up, went home, like nothing happened. The doctor could not explain also this. But this is a very deep example, yes, of how children take upon themselves suffering in order to awaken the parents. And some children, even the only purpose that they come to this world, and they also die, they take upon themselves this mission before they come. For us, it seems that it's unjust why such a small child is dying. He didn't do anything, but we don't know all the threads of karma, and some children come only with this purpose. Another example that I would like to give is of a businessman that it was much longer, the possibility to deciphering, because not always I receive the answer in the moment. Sometimes it takes time. He came to me, and he has a very small child, beautiful child, and suddenly this child started to have severe skin disease. And of course, this family, this man, his wife, went to all doctors. Nobody could give them remedy for this suffering. The child was crying the whole night because he was scratching his skin. It was bleeding. They had to take him to hospital. Both of them, the husband and the wife, speaking to me, crying, asking for help. And I said, I will pray for him. And I prayed for him. And the first night, I saw in a dream that I saw him in the hands of his mother, and the skin was healed. So I knew everything is going to be okay, but I didn't know when, and I didn't know how. I just told them, this is what I perceived, that there is a solution. I just don't know when and why. And it took some months. I was praying for this child. And one day, as I was cleaning the house, suddenly the answer came, puck, falling. Yeah. And the answer for this prayer was that the father must change one of his business. He had several business. One of his business was not correct, harming people, made people, like, I don't know if you have this terminology, but lose their skin. But when you are losing a lot of money, you just say, like, somebody take the skin out of you. And I told him, you must stop this business. You must stop it. Of course, there is no logic. If you think about it logically, what this has to do with this. But the voice was very clear. If he stopped this business, he promised not to go on with this business. The child is going to be healed. This happened after 6 days from the day I gave the answer to this couple. So just imagine how much suffering children are willing to take upon themselves just that we correct ourselves. We are going to align ourselves. We are back in the place where we have to be. This phenomenon is something new. It's something new that we are teaching in the school. And I also think it will change the way we are treating children's problem. Okay. I know it's overwhelming, this logic, but it is. And these stories, and I can tell 1.5 story after story after story. Maybe when I will have time one day, I will write a book about all these testimonies that we can create miracles in our children's life when we understand and we have the ability to decipher the mirror that they are putting in front of us. We also love our children more when we understand this. It's not a child that's making a problem from us. It's a child that took a problem upon himself in order to help us. 7th commandment. Our children are not the most important thing in our lives. Sounds tough, yes. If I tell this to my Arabic mother, she would, I think she would quit the Zoom if she hears this. How can I say such a thing? The most important thing in life is children. This is at least how I was grew up. And this is, for my mother, it would be very difficult to digest, but maybe with the examples that I'm going to give here, also example from life, I could explain this commandment better. I think if we don't accept this commandment, we cannot really love our children, truly love them. Because what it happens is that if we put our children, for example, as the most important thing in our life, let's imagine that we have a pyramid, okay? And at the top of a pyramid, we put what is the most important thing. This means two things. First, that if this important thing just decide to get married and to leave the house, the mother get a depression. Or if we put in the top of the pyramid our career or money or social status, and we lose this, we lose the will to live. Why? Because what we put in the top of the pyramid is the source of our nourishment. This is why we have the first commandment that God gave us. Yes, I am the Lord the God, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not because God needs us, but because we need God. Because God is the only source that is eternal. So when we put God above everything, we make sure that whatever happens in our life, we will have the connection to the source of life and strength. Whether if we put our children and something has happened to our children, we lost the power and we cannot even help them. And here comes another story. A woman from Israel, she came to see me, again, shivering, crying, and tells me that her son, 33 years old, out of the sudden is sick with Parkinson, which usually is not a disease that attacks young people. And he have 2 daughters, and he's married, and he was very happy. And she don't understand why, and she cannot see him. Every day she go, and he cannot move one finger and then the other finger, and he take the glass and he starts shaking. And for her to see this is horrible. She said, I cannot live any longer. I cannot help him. I don't know what to do. So I asked her, what is the most important thing in your life? And she answered, like, my mother, of course, my children, my son. And I said, the problem is that if your son is the source of power for you, and your son now is sick, and you cannot take power from him because he actually needs power from you, you cannot help him. She said, yes, this is right. I cannot help him. I'm depressed. I'm in bed. I cannot do anything. So I said, if you want to help him, because I told him, I'm not deciphering now why your son has Parkinson. Yeah, after 2 weeks, the son phoned me and we have a private session, and we can also decipher why he had Parkinson. But this is for another story. What was important for this mother to understand, if she wants to help her son and to help her grandchildren, and a daughter-in-law, and all the family, that all the family will not collapse. She must find another source of power, God. So what we started to do in several sessions is to teach her, to initiate her to establish this connection. And this is a good example to show why, when we put our children as the most important thing in life, and the moment when our children are in problem, we cannot help them because we suck the power from them. A very example that was just like in these days, I will not mention the name, but the woman phoning me, she's divorced, she was very sad. And I said, why are you sad? Because I'm on the weekend, I'm alone. Why you are sad when you're alone? There are so many things you can do when you're alone. Said, no, but I want my children, she had two girls, I like them to be with me, and I like on Saturday morning to take them to have breakfast with me. One of them is 15, the other is 17. You know, when you have teenagers and it's Sunday or Saturday in Israel, Saturday is the Sunday day, they like to go to sleep in the morning or to be with friends and not going with the mother to have breakfast because the mother is sad and making them the face of, oh, if you're not going to be with me, what are you doing? I told her, what are you doing to your children? Whether you're divorced, not divorced, even if you are with your husband until the end of the days, your girls is now entering to an age that they want to be alone or to develop their own life or be with their friends. You say that the most important thing in your life is these two girls, but actually you don't love them. You love yourself because you suck the power from them. You don't think what is good for them. No, I love them. I said, no, you don't love them. You love yourself. If you love them, you don't give them every time they go to be with their father. Yes, I'm going to be okay. You can go. Why are you doing this? They go, they feel guilty, they feel sad, they feel, oh, we have to take care of our mother instead of the mother taking care of the children. With this manipulation, we make the children in the position they have to be the adult that should take care of the sad divorced mother. I told her you should stop saying that your girls are the most important thing in your life. Put another thing. She said, a man? No, a man is also not a good idea. If the man goes, what will happen then? Put God, always put God at the top of the pyramid, and then you're going to be happy and with power. That power, that every channel that comes in your life, you will have the possibility to overcome it. So don't say your children are the most important thing. I don't know if all of you know the story of Abraham in the Old Testament. You know the story? Okay. Don't be ashamed. If you don't know, you can go to the Bible after the class and read the story. The story of Abraham is a story of a man who was trained to be the one who will bring humanity the first commandment. And of course, all the training before such a great mission is not to have attachment. So first he has to leave his country, and after that he loses all his money, and after that his wife goes and come back, and not to have attachment to anything. And the last test is the famous test of the sacrifice of his son Isaac. Okay, the story of the Bible is not a story that like we should see this as a picture that he has to take his son and cut his head with a sword. No. The order from the light to Avram was exactly what we are speaking right now. You should not put your son as the most important thing. because this son, Isaac, arrived after many, many, many years that Sarah and Abraham could not have children. So when this child came, they did a little mistake and put him as an idol. They put him at the top of the pyramid. And this is why the lights say, even this child, you should not put in the first place. Sacrifice, cut it. Use the sword and say, no, this is not correct. But it's a beautiful story. And it's a beautiful message for all of us. Okay, so love your God more than anything. Put him in the top of the pyramid, and then everything else will find its place. Okay, the 8th commandment. Our children have both the right and the responsibility to examine everything that they receive from us. Okay, again, it's a problem of egoistic love. Yes, what we call love. We are religious and we think that our children should do the same thing, and if they are not doing this, we are start punishing them because we love them. But actually we love ourselves. Yes, and many times we think and we say, I love you, but actually what we mean is, I love what you're giving me. So if we really love somebody, we must give him the absolute freedom to make his own journey, to make also his own mistakes. Because sometimes the only way we can have a conviction in the true way is by making mistakes. So we have to let our children to examine everything they receive from us. Again, not making any manipulation, keep the connection with them, keep the loving eyes with them. This is true love. And, 2.5 years ago, after living 20 years in South America, I came back to Israel for the fulfillment of my mission. And my youngest son, Daniel, decided to come with me. So we came together to Israel. And after 1 year, he told me, Mom, I want to speak with you. It was dinner time. He looked at my eyes and I looked at his eyes and he said, I love you. I love being with you, but I don't like to stay in Israel. I would like to go back to Argentina, to my friends. And he was a little bit hesitated, although he should not, because I always educated him and his other brothers that they should always do what is good for them. Really, truly. And this is the covenant we have, because my children, I think that they are the most supportive person in my mission. They live in South America. I live in Israel. I don't see them very frequently. If I'm very lucky, twice a year. But I never, ever heard from them any complaints about the time that I dedicate to God or for the light. So Daniel told me, Mom, you have to serve the people of Israel and the world. And I have to go to Argentina. And I said, yes, this is right. And we both are okay with this. I did not try to convince him and to manipulate him with the gifts or making the lonely, divorced mother. I'm alone. How is it possible? You're leaving me. No. Because if I love him, I know that what he wants right now is to be with his friends. And even if it's difficult for me, I will not show this to him. I will let him go to his way and bless him with a smile. And the same he's doing with me. He phoned me yesterday. It was finished in high school and they have a beautiful trip to the snowing and the ski, and he came back. and was phoned me from the taxi because his father was also not at home. And I noticed that he was sad, a little bit sad, because after a trip like this, it would be more than nice that your mother will wait for you at home with something delicious that you like. So he did not say anything, just he wanted to hear my voice. But I asked him, is it difficult for you, Daniel, to finish this trip and to come home and I'm not there? And the answer was, Mom, how is Alma School for Humanity is going? Not even one drop of I'm the poor abandoned boy. No. You have to fulfill, and I support this. And in the moment that is difficult for me, he said, when I hear your voice, it is already the feeling of home. I get the feeling of home when I hear your voice. So this is true love. Not to bind anybody just because we cannot do what we have to do. It is reciprocal, yes, because I'm not binding my children, they are also not binding me. They are not here today, but really they support my work. It's not easy. It's not easy for them to be alone there because we have a very strong connection and we love to be together. But they know, they always said, we had you when we were small, and now you have to do things for the world. So even though they are not listening to me, I'm sending my thanks to the three of them. Okay, 9th commandment. We do not owe our children anything once they reach adulthood. Okay, this is also something that hard to digest for most people. But deep inside, many parents feel, although they're not always, they don't have enough courage to admit, that they feel that to become parents mean to be in jail or to be a slave. And it never ends, because when you finish with your children, you have to do the same work or similar work with the grandchildren. It's like that being parents means that you lose your identity, your free time, your money, your dreams. And it should not be like this. Yeah, it's true that when we decide to have children and they are small, yes, we have to dedicate time to them. It's an investment. When we give them what they need when they are small, then they can be independent human beings afterwards. But this does not mean that we cannot fulfill, especially I hear this from women. I could not do this because for a child to hear this is horrible. Yeah, the mother in the table, yes, I did not become what I want because I brought you to this world. Good appetite. You cannot eat anything after you hear this. We are not victims. We are not in the prison. It's just how we decided to look at parenthood. So if we know that after a certain age, we have our free journey and our children have their free journey, and sometimes we meet together and sometimes not, and sometimes we meet for moments or hours or days or weeks and like this. Sometimes we also separated because the spirit decided to have another journey. It's also happened. But if we have this commandment and it's explained in the right way, it also helps our children to be more creative, more independent, more grateful for what they receive, because they don't think that their parents must give them, help them, pay them, buy them. It's never ending demands. And we should also, it is not a law that we must leave the inheritance of what we have financially, we must leave it to our children. No. It's our money and we can decide whatever we want to do with it. And our children must understand this. I see some children have really severe claims on the parents. What does it mean that you want to give the money or part of the money to this foundation or to the... What is this? Why the children think that the parents supposed to be their slaves and when they die we can buy a apartment? We must change all this perspective. Okay, the last commandment, we should strive and pray for soul kinship with our children. And it reminds me the commandment, honor thy father and thy mother. Yes, and actually the real meaning of this commandment is actually, it's not a commandment for the children. It's a commandment for the parents. We as parents should honor motherhood and parenthood. And the fact that many children and we can see today, are not honoring their parents is because the children see that the parents are speaking one thing, but they are not living what they are speaking. And children also see this falsification in the education system, especially when they are small and they are intuitive and they listen to the teacher and the teacher speak about high values, but the child perceives that the teacher is not living these high values. And then it creates a conflict in the soul of the child. And he cannot honor his teacher, he cannot honor his father and mother because he sees that what they speak and what they do is not the same thing. But if we honor our fatherhood and motherhood, and we are one example, what we are thinking, what we are speaking, what we are doing, how we eat, how we dress, how we speak to other people, what we are doing with our money. The children are watching us and see us, not when we are on stage, at home. How do we speak with our mother-in-law when she's not the most beautiful soul in the world? How do we treat people in the supermarket? When our children see that we are one with the values that we are speaking about, the respect and the love for us, it's something that comes naturally. And it's a big calling for us as parents to bring ourselves to the highest level of consciousness so that our children could call us father and mother from all their heart and without any conflict. So if we leave the 10 commandments of conscious parenthood, we understand the importance of keeping these principles, we understand how much our spiritual development is important in order for us to be this guiding star that our children can look and it's shining and brightening their way in life, even in the most darkest moment. So, thank you for listening. 1 hour and a half. Thank you very much. I would like to, I'm just reading here what the director of the school, Niriti Shaya from Los Angeles, wrote to me. So she wrote, I hope that in further lectures, I will present all the team of Alma, because this school and the Alma school in the world is, of course, is not a project of one person. There are many, many persons supporting, helping, collaborating in this project. So next time Nurit is going to be on stage, and this is what I would like to share with you. I would like to invite you to join our Alma School for Humanity forum at the end of this class, where you can share your thoughts, experiences, and questions. The forum is a wonderful space to connect and help each other as we become human beings. All registered students should have gotten at least one email with an invitation to join the forum. You can also get to the forum through our website, almaschool.org, by clicking on our forum tab at the top of the menu. You can see it here. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at info@almaschool.org. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the forum. Thank you. I'm entering now to the forum to write something to you. Bye-bye. See you soon in the next lecture.